please tell us something about you and your background. You received your BS and computer science at the University of New Orleans in 2004. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely started my passion for computers before that, and I knew that I wanted to program. Nobody in my family did any kind of computer stuff, so I was the guy who was messing with my dad's computer for work and breaking it. And all throughout high school, I was making apps and kind of putting it. So I was the guy who was selling the floppies with programs on them, and so I had a lot of fun with it. And so it was just kind of felt natural to go into the software development. So at like UNO, I was the ACM president, and so which is the Association for Computing Machinery. It's the nerdiest club possible.
in New Orleans.
Or for University of New Orleans, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So just basically brought me straight through, and I was working on the websites for UNO anyway. So when I graduated from there, it just kind of like, oh yeah, it's continued down the same path.
And what comes next?
I graduated in 2004, like you said, and then so I immediately started working for UNO, doing another website for them, and then Hurricane Katrina hit, which immediately caused everything to mess up a little bit. And so when coming back from Hurricane Katrina, I started my first actual company doing software development and making websites and such.
In which area was it?
For the websites, I had built a website called quizmyself.com for self-studying. It was basically, before anybody else had it, it was flashcards. For you could fill a question and answer bank and then share it and work collaboratively, with different people in your class. So you can make flashcards for chapters 1 through 3, and then have somebody else in class do chapters 4 through 6, and then have all of them come together so that you can both study. And it worked out pretty nice, but we didn't know anything about marketing, so we had 30 users.
Which year we are now?
2005 started,
okay,
and then the business ran until about 2007. Then somebody came along later on and made $1 million off my idea.
So we are here actually because together with 52 business, you teamed up at the Destination Hackathon, and Colin asked me if I would write something about the app.
Yeah.
And, you created the app called Touracle. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, yeah. First and foremost, I can't take all the credit. We had a great team. We had Curtis, we had Rob Caraway, we had Brian Joseph, just a couple of the people who are down here who really know what they're doing. And we all teamed up and built the Touracle app, which is basically a tour guide on your phone, which anybody can build tours and then kind of go to wherever else and actually go through a tour. And so teamed up with them because they had to have an app that was related to tourism. And the idea was sitting on the shelf for a while. I said, you know what?
They have something in place already, actually.
Yeah, the idea has been in my head for forever.
Okay.
And then they had the hackathon, which I love, had to do with tourism, and everybody I knew who was kind of getting the team together said they were available. I was like, hey, I'm silly if I don't go do this. So I went there and built it.
More practical. I mean, the app is not on the market yet. How would get the content into the app? I mean, it's how you get people who create an app and put it up there.
Well, what I think is everybody's already creating these apps. They're already creating their own tours already. Everybody I've talked to about it already has what you should do in a particular city. So, for instance, I personally would feel that people don't actually share just locations when you go to a place. They share almost a story. And that's essentially what a tour is. It's a story that you're kind of going through, and you can go through someone else's story. So, you know, some people are like, oh, you go to New York? Well, that's right by this place, and then you need to go eat at this restaurant right around sunset, and you'll have the best view ever, and then it's right down the street from this place. They just made their own tour. Everybody's doing it already. It's just now it's the ability to go ahead and share it.
Mm-hmm. It means people make some experience in New Orleans, for instance, and then put it up, and then you will see how many people get interested in it, or then they can book this tour.
Yeah, everybody is always wanting to show that their city's the best. And so, and everybody wants to show and share their experiences. We see that constantly through Facebook and Twitter. So you're able to take your favorite night out, put it inside the app, and then have people say, this was great, or I really enjoyed this part, and give it, you know, sort of each person gets to give each other kudos and their karma, you know, for one another. And in sharing it, I say, just as far as getting off the ground, you really just need people who want to share their experienes, which there's no shortage of.
The key question is how to get to the audience. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that there's, you know, I made a joke at the actual hackathon. I said, every city is a, you know, kickball team and a keg of beer away from having 20 tours made in one night, you know? Everybody's willing to, you know, each person has so many different experiences that they're willing to share right away. And so I'd say that in certain feature-rich cities, there's a million ways to do it, but it's just kind of letting people have that viral content of pulling out your phone and saying, look at this, isn't this amazing? Or coming to a city and then knowing that that exists, and then now from there, everybody can create everything going forward. So just knowing it exists.
That's the key, yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean, that means the content to get into the app is not a big deal because the story is existing already. But what I didn't understand how you want to make money with that.
Well, you know, that's another thing I've said at the conference is that I'm not really afraid, and I'm sort of riding off the coattails of a lot of really big industry giants that you see here. First thing they do is they get the users, and then they figure out how to go ahead and make money. And then so I said, well, let me sit down and do sort of a proof of concept. Well, we came up with 9 different ways to go ahead and actually have it make money, as impersonal as having iAds inside the app, which if you've got a large user community, actually pulls in significant money, not to say like Flappy Bird or things like that, where people made so much money off that, but all the way up to people like 52 businesses interacting with the local tourism community and the tourism companies of different cities, and allowing them to go ahead and have a featured section that's separate for them to go ahead and help, you know, push the actual community of the tourism for those particular cities. And that way you're not taking anything away at the same time. Between those two, we came up with a lot of ideas.
But they are not, you're still working on these 9 ideas, or they're all figured out already?
We're going to only take the ones that make sense. So I would say iAds is a bad idea. I would say that it's very impersonal, and it's probably not the best structure. I would say that more likely than that, having the actual communities work together, or being able to work off of maybe systems like affiliate programs. You know, I think that there's a good bit of wiggle room between those, as well as if you plan on having the product be acquired by someone. If you're already working with affiliates with Amazon Local, and then Amazon Local says, well, hey, I'd like to come along and acquire this business, well, you're already playing in hand. So I think that there's not going to be slamming the users over the head with every different revenue system. It's going to be really important. The experience is going to be primary, and then the revenue is going to fit in nicely with it, like a puzzle piece.
Is there already a date or a milestone when you want to go live? Or?
Well, I tell you, we had to cut a lot of corners to do the 48-hour hackathon. I really, really would love to go live with it. But ultimately, I think there's two key aspects. One, the user experience when they're using the app has to make a lot of sense immediately. They have to be able to see it and immediately understand how it works. And I think that is not something that I should rush. And the second aspect of that is going to be getting the data in there beforehand. We want people for different cities to go ahead and load as many different tours as they can, so you don't load up the app and it tells you while you're in Denver the nearest great tour you can do in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what we want is to have at least a good amount of community tours, and then if not, have a nice transition for the user to go ahead and create their own.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that those are the two things that we just can't rush.
Mm-hmm.
And when those are in place, the app is basically ready to be released.
Mm-hmm. That means already from the starting away you want to go nationwide already, instead not only focus on New Orleans but build up relation already in other cities.
Absolutely, because the app is released, worldwide as soon as it's done. I mean, I'll be willing